minus the 17. What's the opposite of minus 17? Addition of 17. Where do we do it? Why did I write it down? I wrote it down for directions to me. I wrote it down so I can get it right. I wrote down what I'm solving. I'm adding 17 to both sides. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to do this arithmetic. What's it called when I do the arithmetic that's written? Simplify. If you do what's written down, minus 17 plus 17, you read it out loud. If you can simplify, you simplify. If you're trying to solve, you do something to both sides. You always know what something is. You do the opposite. And it works. Number 2. Now this one's a little harder. It's got some decimals in it. A little bit harder. But you've got a calculator. You're not going to do the arithmetic wrong. And it says, solve the equation using subtraction. Y plus. Oh, I'm starting to read it out loud again. Come on, don't do that. All right, who haven't I talked to? Edmund. I don't think you and I, Edmundo, excuse me. Forgive me. I'll try to get that right. Can you read this for me?
Y plus 12.3 equals 20.5.
Okay. That whole thing, what word would you use to describe what's on the board? Say it out loud. Equation.
Yeah, equation.
Why are you calling it an equation? Because it has an equal sign. So it's an equation. If it has an equal sign, it's an equation. How do we solve equations? Nice to have your friends. You do something to both sides. How do you know the something is always the opposite?
Yeah. So it's negative 12.3.
The opposite of add is subtract. So I'm going to say subtract. And I do it to
Both sides.
I solve. I do something to both sides. That something is always the opposite. Why do I write stuff down? To get them right. I write them down as directions for me. You write them down as directions for you. Do what's written. Simplify. 12.3 minus 12.3. 0. If arithmetic gives you trouble, use your calculator. If you can do the arithmetic, do the arithmetic. But don't get it wrong because you did the arithmetic wrong. Don't get it wrong because you did the arithmetic wrong. Not when you got a $125 calculator sitting on your table. There's no excuse for making an arithmetic. I knew what I was doing, I did the arithmetic wrong. Well, then why didn't you use your calculator? Use your calculator. Jeremy, I think number 3 was the one you had a question about. Am I right?
No, you're fine. I got it solved.
Okay. Number 3, 5p equals 60. And I will work my way around the room now. Let's see, who do I want to talk to? I caught your eye. Okay. We're in a bright blouse there. I'm definitely Shanice. Can you read what's on the board?
5p equals 60.
Okay, you read equal. It has to be it's got to be an equation. How do we solve equations? How do we solve equations?
We have to add, well, we have to do something on both sides.
Got to do something to both sides. How do you decide what you're going to do to both sides? Listen to him. Let's read the problem again. Read this part to me.
5P.
What arithmetic is it? Is this add, subtract, multiply, or divide? 5p. What does 5 next to p mean? Means multiply. 5p equals 60. It's an equation. We've got to do something to both sides. We do the opposite of what's being done. It says 5 times p. By. Say it out loud. And where did we divide by 5? Say it again.
On both sides.
Okay. I know you got a bigger voice than that.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to divide both sides, and that's how we show division, isn't it? That's how we show divide. We don't write this symbol. We divide both sides by 5. We divide both sides by 5. How much is 5 divided by 5? No. How much is 5 divided by 5? 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. But we don't write 1p because the Arabs 2,000 years ago didn't want it chiseled out in a rock. Okay? And I'm serious. We just write the p. Do you know what 60 divided by 5 is? If you don't, you got a calculator. It's 12. And you're done. You read it. You knew it was an equation. You knew you had to do something to both sides. Question is, well, what do I do to both sides? You do the opposite of what's written down. The opposite of 5 times p is divided by 5. Divided by the 5. Keep going. R divided by 8 is 13. Yeah, I read it out loud. R divided by 8 is equal to 13. I know it is an equation because it has an equal sign. I see that it's division. It's R divided by 8. I've got to multiply both sides by 8. How do I show multiplication? With a parentheses. I'm not going to use an X because I'm using algebra now, especially lots of letters. And what letter shows up the most often in algebra? X. So don't use X for multiply. Don't use X for multiply because you'll confuse it with the letters. Dot is too easy to confuse with a decimal point. Use parentheses. Right, what's there? And it's a fraction. So I'm going to put it in parentheses. They don't both have to be in parentheses, but it's certainly not wrong. What's on this side?
13 times 8.
Say it again.
13 times 8.
I'm going to stick the 8 in front if that's okay with you. Okay? When I'm doing it to both sides, I'll put it in front, not behind. We've written it down to do. Here's a piece of math. There's really a 1 under there. We don't write it down. Those 8s cancel. 1 8 on top, 1 8 on the bottom. They cancel to be 1. 1R. We don't write the 1 down, but they cancel to be R. 8 times 13, I never learned my 13 tables, but 80 and 24, I'm pretty sure is 104. Or you can use your calculator. So we've done 4 problems. We did one where you added on both sides. because it's the opposite of subtracting. We did one where we subtracted on both sides, because it's the opposite of add. We did one where we divided on both sides, because that's the opposite of multiply. We did one where we multiplied on both sides, because that's the opposite of divide. You know what to do because you do the opposite. Let's see what example 5 says. Solve equations using reciprocals. Reciprocals, there's a neat word. Okay, good algebra word. 4/5. Okay. Somebody want to? Don't kill me.
Here.
If you have a battery in that thing, that would be better. Okay. By the way, she's asked me for permission to videotape the class, and I've certainly given her permission to do that. If you ask kindly, would you send me the video? I'll look at it too. Take out pictures and put them on me on your wall. Okay, whatever makes you feel good. You have my permission to keep copies of that video if there would be a benefit to you. But you need her permission too. What I read is 4/5 times n is equal to 20. But listen carefully. What's the opposite of 4/5 times? Watch me. Watch what I did. The opposite of multiplying by that fraction is to multiply by its reciprocal. The fraction turned upside down. But of course I have to do it to watch the magic here on the left side. 5s cancel to be 1. 4s cancel to be 1. It's just n. Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
We spent the first class making sure you know how to do arithmetic with your calculator. 5/4, 5 divided by 4, parentheses, 20, end parentheses, equals 25. Don't tell me I can't do it because I don't know how to do fractions. That's why we did that earlier in the week.
So I divided it by 4/5 and then went over to 20 and divided by 4/5 as well, and I still got 25.
And you will,
So that's okay.
as it is, knowing where this course is going to go, my method is easier. There's virtually always more than one way to do something, right? And every teacher has their own right ways. So we've done 5 problems. Add, subtract, multiply, divide, and reciprocal. Solving equations that have more than one step. I'm going to erase and go back and start again. It's because I run out of room. That's pretty much as far, there might be some time when I use more space and keep going all the way around. But 2L plus 5 equals 17. There's a huge hint in the words. Solve equations involving more than one step. More than one step. Okay. How do we pronounce your name correct? Fikri? Is it? How would you want me to say it? Fikri. I'll work on it. Okay, Fikri. Can you read the problem out loud? 2m plus 5 equals 17. It has a multiplication and it has an addition. It has both. It's harder. Do you have a guess? I don't want the answer. Do you have a guess of what we're going to do first? Okay? The answer when we're done is 6. I agree with you 100%. You are right. I'm not interested in the answer anywhere near as much as I'm interested in the process. Okay. What we're going to do first, it says it's 2 times m. And it also 5 is being added. There's a multiplication and an addition. I want to undo the addition first. I'm going to take a minute. Funny, PEMDAS. How many remember it from algebra in high school? PEMDAS. Maybe you learned, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Did anybody ever learn that? Some of you learned it that way. What these letters stand for: P is parentheses, E is exponents, M is multiply, D is divide, A is addition, S is subtraction. Okay? If I gave you 5 pieces of arithmetic to do, I already told you your calculator knows what order to do them in. You might not. The order you have to do them in is PEMDAS. You have to do parentheses first, you have to do exponents second, you have to do multiply and divide from left to right, you have to do add and subtract. But when you're solving an equation, you got to do them in reverse. You got to do subtract or add, divide or multiply, exponents. So I have to do the minus 5 before I do the addition. PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. That's arithmetic. The equation goes the other way. The equations are going to do solving. The 5 minus 5 is, so this, the left side is just 2m. 17 minus 5 is, I just simplified. What I have is now a much simpler problem than it used to be. Only look at 2m is 12. 2m equals 12 looks a lot like 5p equals 60. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. 2m divided by 2 is m. Then Victor was right, you hit it all in his head, which is wonderful. But please, practice writing it out. Because I promise I'll give you something to think in your head. And if you haven't practiced, you're going to look at it and say, I don't know what we did. Does this make sense? Solving equations with like terms.
Sorry, guys.
Not fair. Is this over? No. Can you read it?
9c minus 3c plus 2c equal 50.
Couple things to point out. I always put a mark in my z's, because if I don't, my 2's and z's look too much alike.
Ditto.
Okay? So I put a mark in the z so I can tell them apart. It's just a good way to write it down. We'll look at these two words. Okay? Read the two words for me.
Simplify and solve.
What does simplify mean? What does simplify mean? Help him out.
Reduce the arithmetic.
Do the math. Do what's written. Do what's written. Make it an easier problem. Do what's written. How much is 9z minus 3z?
60.
Still, because you only do arithmetic on two numbers at a time. So I didn't try to do all three of them. I simplified. 9z minus 3z, and I got 6z, please.
So like on the test, you have to put, or you just.
I'll answer your question. On your, if you're talking about in my math lab, all you put down is the answer. The reason you write stuff down is so that it makes sense. And follow your own directions. So I expect you to do this because it's the right way to do it. When I mark your midterm exam and your final exam, here is what I'll do, and I will be honest with you. I will look at your answer. If you got your answer right, I'm going to put a big old check and I'm done. I am not going to look at how you did it. If you got it wrong, then I'm going to look back, and if you try to do it all in your head, you get a 0. But if you wrote down steps, I'll try to figure out what you did right and what you did wrong, and I'll give you partial credits. So your question is, do I have to write it down?
No, you have to put plus 3z on each side, or like minus
No.
that.
First of all, solve means do something to both sides, and that's not what I did. I did not solve. I simplified. I did the arithmetic that was written. Those two give me 6z. I didn't solve. Not yet. Solve is when I do something to both sides. I've got another step to simplify. I can do one more simplify. I'm going to read this. 6z plus 2z equals 50. I'm going to add those two. If you can simplify, if you can simplify, do it first. Do you want to do a hard problem or an easy problem? You want to do
No, I'm good. I just wanted you to know if you want plus 3 under the minus 3 there, show that.
No, that would be an error. I simplified. I did. It's already written. Those two give me 6z. 2z is still the same, equals still the same, 50 is still the same. These two give me 8z. Now it's time to solve. Solve is when I do something to both sides. And if it sounds like I'm yelling at you, I apologize.
I know what you're saying, and I don't think you know what I'm saying. But
I must not be.
I got it.
He's saying it's already written going from left
No,
to right.
yeah, I know.
So
I
the
just
only
wanted-
time you have to write it down is you see how it's
Yeah.
z equals 50. Now you have to write division divided by 8 divided by 50. It's already written down going left to right, so you don't have to write it down.
Yeah, that's all.
Simplify. Now it's time to solve. Solve is when and I'm going to use my calculator. 50 divided by 8.
6 1/4.
6.25. And as a mixed number, it's 6.25. I know 6 is the whole number part. I subtract 6. I get 0.25. Hit math, enter, enter. There's the answer as a decimal. There's the answer as a mixed number. And there's the answer as an improper fraction. If my math lab says write it one way, you got to write it that way. If my math lab doesn't say what way to write it, all three of them should work. When it's time to take the test, I'll tell you how to write the answer. Okay? Do what the problems say. Do what the problems say. Solving equation using the distributive property. I'm going to read it out loud to you. 6 times p minus 2 equals 30. Can I simplify? Is there any arithmetic I can do? And the answer is yes. I can do that. I simplified. I did the arithmetic that's written. I multiplied 6 times p, and I multiplied 6 times 2. Do not look at this problem anymore. Look at this problem. It says 6 times p minus 12 equals 30. It's got both a multiply and a subtraction. Out of PEMDAS, this is how you do arithmetic. This is how you solve. Solve, you start at the bottom, so I've got to get rid of the subtraction. So what am I going to do to both sides? Add 12 to both sides. 6p minus 12 plus 12 is 6p. 30 plus 12 is 42. Only look at this problem. 6 times p is 42. Let's multiply, so I have to divide by on both sides. I know at the beginning of the class, if I'd have written that problem down, there's a bunch of you that would have just been absolutely petrified, lost. Are you still lost? No, not at all, okay? Several of you will still be confused. The right time to practice will be this afternoon. Remember, we won't meet again until a week from Tuesday. I'm out of town next week, meeting with my brother. It was already scheduled. I don't want to say it was fortunate. My sister-in-law died. We knew she was going to die, but it's nice that I'm going to be able to be with my brother. Don't wait to do your math. Do your math the afternoon of the day I teach, and then go back and review it before we come to class again. This one has even more steps. 5r equals 2 times
I'm figuring that out.
plus 5.
I'm trying to figure that out.
I don't know how to write it. I know the answer.
When I'm breaking down.
Can I simplify? Is there
Down
any
how to write
arithmetic
it.
written I can do? I can't 5r minus 2, but I write it down. I can't equal, but I write it down. I can use the distributive property. I simplify. I made it easier. Now, I look at this problem, and I read it. 5r minus 2 equals 2r plus 10. It's harder. It's got r on both sides. I can't add it. I can't subtract it. I've got to solve. When I solve, do the addition, subtraction, and the multiplication, division. So I need to do some adding and subtracting first. You do have two choices. This is a subtraction, that's an addition. You can do them in either order. Because they're on the same line. I'm gonna add 2 to both sides. Why did I write the 2 under the 10? Why didn't I write it under the 2R? Because I wrote the like ones underneath each other. 10 is like 2. 2R isn't like 2. Do what's written. Does that make sense? You do what you wrote. You do what you wrote. 5R equals 2R plus 12. I'm saying it out loud again. I'm not just depending on my eyes, I want my ears to hear. Because half my brain works through my ears. So I'm reading it out loud. It's a problem with an addition in it. 2R and a 12. 2R plus 12. I need to do some subtraction on both sides. Surprise. Don't look at your paper, look at me. Look at the board right now. Everybody, look at me. Everybody's eyes up here. We got R on both sides. I need the R's on the same side. You might want to subtract 12. I'm going to subtract 2R. I want you to understand why. I want the R's on that side to disappear. I want the R's to disappear. I want the R's to all be on one side. 5R minus 2R, how much is that? Look at what's written. That's a whole lot easier than that used to be. One step at a time. Inch by inch, life's a cinch. Okay? Do the little steps. That's multiply. You'll divide. And R is fun. In your high school class, it was Christmas when you were doing that problem. We've done it in an hour and a half. Okay? Oh my God. Word problems. What a son of a gun. Solving word problems. Translate the following statement into an equation. The product of 5, comma, and a number decreased by 8, another comma, is 100. Use y as the variable. Holy cow. We've read it. Here is a piece that you're not going to be willing to do unless you are disciplined. Disciplined. What did it say to use as the variable?
Why?
This piece. It told you to use y, so I'm using y. What are we trying to find? Let's read the words. The product of 5 and a number. We're trying to find the number.
Right.
We're trying to find a number. The number is called y. If, again, 50 friggin' years of experience. If you will do this step first, put it on paper, not, okay, I'll think about it. That's not good enough. Put it on paper. The problem will be a piece of cake. The problem will be simple. Translate the following sentence into an equation. Would you read for me? Read starting with the word the. Stop. The product. What kind of arithmetic am I doing? Just a second. The product of. Either place.
Oh.
Okay, multiply, doesn't matter which one goes first, does it?
You're right.
Product of 5,
And a number.
a number. Please read what's on the board. Y is the number. The product of 5 and the number. Next word.
Decreased by 8.
Ah, wait a second, and there's commas in there. This problem is nasty. It's the product of 5, comma, and a number decreased by 8. The number, what does decreased mean? Five, the number decreased by 8. That's nasty. Keep going. Stop. What symbol do I write for is? Read it and write what it says. You asked me if I was going to teach you English. It's like I planted you with that question. The commas make all the difference. I'm going to guess you wrote this. How many of you is English a second language? I understand. Is English your first language? And you have a problem with it.
English is your second language.
For those
Oh, it is, yeah.
students in the class for whom English is a second language,
Your mom.
how would you like to be doing this if I was teaching in Spanish? You understand what I'm saying? Am I going to have more sympathy for them? Sympathy, yes. But if they get it wrong, guess what? I'm still marking it wrong. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I understand that you've got an additional stumbling block. I'll try to help you get over it, but I can't ignore errors. Commas matter. A number decreased by 8. It's not just the number, it's the number decreased by 8. Now, this is our problem. Is there any arithmetic? Can you simplify? Answer is yes. 1 minus 40. Look at this problem. It's got multiplication and subtraction. If we solve, we do the addition first. Finally, we divide both sides by 5. If you can do it in your head, it's wonderful. If you want to write it out with pencil and paper, that's great. Punch it into your calculator. That's a good idea. Did I get it right? 140 divided by 528. This is the key. Second, write what it says. The product of 5 and a number decreased by 8. And the commas tell you that it was everything in that parentheses is 100. Now it's not a word problem anymore. Now it's an equation. How do we do equations? We simplify it. We could. Yes.
Since we're running short on time, could you do example 6?
I'm going to get there. I promise. I want to keep going.
Shut down.
6 is the last one. 6 and 7. So I got 3 more to do. Number 5 has some important things to it in it also. Seamus, read it to me while I'm erasing.
We sort of did 5 already earlier, but
I want you to read it.
a mattress for a single bed is on sale for $200, which is 4/5 of the original price. Find the original price.
Do you know what the original price is?
$200. Well, the original price is
That's the key, what I just did.
Right.
Find the original price. I'm going to call it X.
X.
X is the original price. A mattress for a single bed is on sale for $200. Which is English? What is? When this says which is, what's it talking about?
The fraction of that.
Multiplication.
It's talking about the $200. Which is? The $200 is 4/5 of. 4/5. What's the word of mean?
Multiplication.
4/5 of the original price. What do I write for original price?
Y.
Well, in this case,
Oh,
look at my handwriting.
X.
Because I wrote this, I'm going to use an X. If you had written, but put this on paper, put that piece on paper, then you're going to know what to write. You use what you wrote. How do we solve equations that have that fraction multiply? The reciprocal, so it's 5/4 times 200. 5/4 times 4/5 times X. That works out magic. It all just gives me X. This you put in your calculator, and I'm pretty sure it's, 250? I can do some things in my head, but you got a calculator. You'll get the answer right. I've got 5 minutes left. That's a hard problem. That's a hard problem. Number 6 is even harder. 6, I think, is the toughest one. 7's not quite as bad. Seamus, read number 6. Is that the one you want?
It is, sir.
Read it for me.
The East Side Nursery ordered 27 saplings. Some of the saplings were elms, costing $17 each, while the rest were maples at $11 each. Total cost of the saplings was $375. Find the number of elms and the number of maples.
Okay. 27 trees. A sapling is just a young tree. 27 trees. It says some of the saplings were elms. Some of them were maples. Do you know how many were elms?
No.
Do you know how many were maples?
Yes.
You do?
No.
Okay, I don't. Watch me. Eyes here. Eyes here, please. Everybody. This is a difficult math. This is the total. 27. I'm not going to use 2 letters. Won't do that to you for a while. Only 1 letter today. What do you want to use for elms? X, Y, P, Q. What do you want to use?
E.
E. Try to stay away from E. It looks too much like a number.
X.
If X is 4, if this is a 4, how many maples are there? Seamus?
27 minus X.
If it's 4, this has to be 23. If this is 7, and the way you're getting this number is saying 27 minus whatever number I gave you.
Right.
Watch me. Eyes here. Not drinking your coffee, not writing. Watch me. When I told you X was 4, you did 27 minus 4 and you got 23. When I told you 7, you did 27 minus 7 and you got 20. When it's X, you write down 27 minus X. I don't know what it is yet, but I've got a name for it. You follow me? That's tricky. Tricky as hell. That's tricky. How much does an elm cost?
17
How much does a maple cost? Say it again.
11.
This is just getting organized. Now I can write an equation. X maples, 17 maples, $17 for every tree. $11 for every tree. This is the cost of the elms. This is the cost of the maples. Total means when I add them, what's the total cost? It's no longer a word problem. It's still a hard algebra problem, but it's not a word problem. You follow me, Seamus?
Right.
Are you going to have to work on this like a dog? Okay? This is hard. Let me go over it again. 27 trees. I don't know how many of them were elms. I called it X. But once I used X, this number has to come out of here. Has to come out of your head. If I add these two, I get 27. That number, that's the key. Solving it isn't that bad. Is there any, can you simplify? What's 11 times 27? 270, 27, 297? 297 minus. Okay? Simplify. Look at the new problem. Can you simplify?
Yes.
These two are not right next to each other, but they are both on the same side of the equal sign. How much is 17x minus 11x?
6x.